Okay. Good evening. Bonsoir tout le monde. My name is Sabrina, and I work at the Information and Culture section of the Embassy of Japan in Ottawa. I will be your MC tonight. This evening, we will be introducing Craftsmanship of Japan and a brand that is recognized around the world, Sakai Forged Knives. We will do so through connection with French blacksmith, Mr. Eric Chevalier, who currently lives in Sakai in Osaka in Japan. Mr. Chevalier is a professional blacksmith who founded the Sakai, a brand of traditional knives and tools. He also promotes Sakai knives to foreign markets around the world. Hello, Eric. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Hello.
Oh.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. We're happy to have you with us tonight. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yeah,
Later this evening, later this evening, we will have the honor of visiting Sasuke Kobo, the studio of Mr. Chevalier's master, Hirakawa-san, with Mr. Chevalier as a guide. Before we start our main presentation, I would like to take a moment to go over tonight's program and some housekeeping regarding Zoom. Okay, today we will have a full program. During the presentation and demonstration, please don't hesitate to use the Q&A functions at the bottom of your screen to ask questions. Yes, so you can see today's agenda on the screen right now. We have a full evening. As I said, during the lecture and demonstration on forging knives, you can use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. We will address as many questions as possible during the Q&A at the end. We welcome questions in both, you can see on the screen right now where the Q&A section is on your screen, the Q&A function. During the Q&A, we will welcome questions in both English and French. Bien que la présentation soit en anglais, n'hésitez pas à poser vos questions en français. Okay. We will go over some prohibited items. Please note that it is prohibited to record and screen capture this program. Thank you very much for your understanding. Please also note that once you leave this webinar, you will be invited to fill out a questionnaire. We would appreciate if you can take a few minutes to fill it out. Thank you. I would now like to invite Ambassador Kawamura to present his opening message.
Good evening. Bonsoir à tous. 日本のエリックさん、おはようございます。Welcome to our Sakai Forged Knives webinar. Thank you for being with us tonight. Premièrement, j'aimerais remercier notre présentateur, Monsieur Eric Chevalier, qui partagera son métier avec nous ce soir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chevalier, for bringing the traditional blacksmithing techniques from Sakai to our screens in Canada tonight. Japanese knives are known around the world for their unique handmade design, quality, and sharp blades. Tonight, we have the wonderful opportunity to learn about and witness the centuries-old techniques used to make Japanese traditional knives. The expertise of blacksmith knife forging methods is what makes Japanese knives truly remarkable. Professional chefs around the world favor Japanese knives to achieve precise and clear cuts. I have a chef at my residence, and he serves a variety of cuisine, Japanese cuisine, to my important guests. And he has a collection of Japanese knives, as a matter of course, including one from Sakai. According to him, those knives could help him cut things sharply. It is also worth mentioning that Japanese forged blades are not used exclusively by professional chefs like my chef in the kitchen, and are used in a variety of fields beyond cuisine. For example, the traditional Japanese arts of ikebana, flower arrangement, and bonsai require the use of tools such as scissors and pliers to care and meticulously arrange the branches and stems of plants in order to create a work of art. Je voudrais terminer ce message en remerciant encore une fois Monsieur Chevalier pour la présentation de ce soir. Thank you everyone for joining us and taking the wonderful opportunity to learn more about the Japanese knives, their history, and their craftsmanship. Please enjoy your evening. Thank you. Merci. ありがとうございました。
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador Kawamura, for the opening remarks. Without further ado, let's move on to our main program tonight. Let's go to Sakai in Japan and Mr. Chevalier. Bonjour from Ottawa.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
You can see me?
Please go.
Bonjour. Merci Sabrina. Thank you Sabrina. Merci Monsieur l'ambassadeur. Thank you Mr. the Ambassador. 皆さんありがとうございます。Yes, so today we are in Sakai to present you a really old forge here, and I will just introduce me a few. So my name is Eric Chevalier. I'm French, and I came here in Sakai 10 years ago. I came to learn Japanese language and to learn this beautiful knowledge of forging process. I was apprentice, blacksmith apprentice during 5 years here, and I had complete my whole apprenticeship here, and now I am a coordinator and an advisor for the Sakai Industrial Promotion on Traditional Crafts. So today I will introduce you Sasuke, because Sasuke is one of the oldest forge here in Japan. So I hope you will enjoy it together. So Sasuke is in Sakai. Sakai, it's just in the south of Osaka. So it's the second biggest airport, Japanese airport of the country of Japan. So it's really easy to come. So from Osaka is just 10 minutes. So please enjoy and come here in Sakai. So you can check on the map where is Sakai. So you have Tokyo more on the northeast, and Sakai it's in the middle of Japan. A really old heritage and many old history here. So you can discover other things than just only the forging knowledge. So you can enjoy other traditional craftsmanship. I think, yes, we don't have the quiz because we have a surprise for you. We have a small quiz, if you can see on your screen, because Sasuke make one of the most expensive and one of the most, I would say, long process scissors. He just make traditional scissors and traditional knife. So our question for you is how long it took to make the most beautiful and the most expensive Sasuke scissors. So you have 3 answers: 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. You have 1 minute. So check it. I remember you, it's the most expensive scissors in the world. And it takes a really long time, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. To make usual Japanese scissors, it's 3 or 4 days. But this is the most expensive and the most difficult knife. Not knife, scissor, sorry. To make a knife, it's about 2 days, if it's all handmade. Can give you a small idea about these really good and expensive scissors. You have behind me the building of Sasuke, really old place. Sasuke is 21 generation is really old, one of the oldest Japanese blacksmith family. Oh, so we got the answer. We are at 7%, 3 weeks, 42%, 3 months, and 51%, 3 years. And you are right, it's the third answer, it's a C. The most expensive scissors of Sasuke took 3 years. We will check it after the visit. So I invite you. Sorry for my accent, I'm French, so forgive me. So follow me and we will discover Sasuke. Come here. So we are walking here in Sakai City in front of Sasuke's blacksmith place, sorry. Welcome. Ah, hello, Sasuke. Sasuke is making knife now, so you can come here just to check it. So now Sasuke make a knife, but he will make scissors after. Ah, どうぞどうぞ. Just check it. Sasuke, おはようございます。おはようございます。よろしくお願いします。So now he is making a Japanese traditional knife. あ、サスケさん、今包丁作ってますけど、次はハサミでしょうね。そうですね。これ今包丁やけども、ハサミ。Okay, so he's saying he's making a traditional Japanese knife, and after he will make traditional scissors. So as you can see, he's beating the warm metal. He have to reach a temperature of 700 degrees, 800 degrees. If it's too cold, he can't beat it enough to make it long. So he's using a machine. We call this machine is called belt hammer, because you could see there is a belt in the middle of the hammer. It's like a human moving, it's like natural moving. It's why we use this belt hammer. And from now, it will beat by hand. So you can feel and you can enjoy the real old traditional blacksmithing. I remember you, it's 21 generation of blacksmithing here you are seeing, you are watching. This knife is we call it a Santoku or bunka knife. It's an all-purpose knife, so you can use for usual home cooking or for like a chef knife. You can cut everything, not too hard things, of course, but vegetables, meat, fish, fruits. It's like a European knife, but pure handmade one. So now he's making what we call the shinogi. The shinogi, it's the line in the middle of the knife. It's like a pure Japanese design, but we make this line to, I would say, if you have the shinogi, a good shinogi, so a good middle line on the knife, you can sharp it easily. You can sharp it easily, and when you cut something, the food don't stick to the blade. So it can take a very long time to make, because it's all handmade process, all handmade. You can see with the light the line on the middle of the blade. He is not striking flat the blade, but just diagonal. So the temperature is really important. So even you can, maybe you think he's doing nothing, he's watching and looking really with a good attention the fire color. He's checking it. There is nothing to check it, it's just by eyes. So Sasuke make a knife from his 16 years old. He learned this knowledge from his father, and his father learned it from his grandfather, from his father too. So the grandfather, it's really an old family. So he learned and he gets passion about knife when he was child. He was watching and seeing his father making knife. So you can feel the ambience, the atmosphere of the Japanese forge. He beat it slowly and he used water too. As you can see, he put just few water, little of water on the blade to make it flat. So it don't hurt the blade. When you strike it, there is no mark on the blade. It's really flat, really smooth. So if you touch the blade, now it's really hot, so you can touch it. But if you touch the blade, it's really smooth. This is a real old knowledge of Japanese blacksmiths. It's not just strike the blade, it's to strike smartly. You have to get a good skills to make this kind of smooth blade. So he was making the blade part, and now he's making the part we put inside the handle. It's really important too. He beat this part, he make it smooth. He have to adjust by eyes the good millimeters, the good thickness. It's a slow on producing work to have the perfect thickness. And he made it.親方、これぐらいだったかな? So the process is more long, of course, but now he show you just easily a part of his work. And the next step is the scissors, the traditional scissors. So I will explain you a few about the place of Sasuke while he's making the preparation. So yes, Sasuke have to use charcoal. You can come here a few. He use a lot of tools. He make his own tools, of course, because nobody makes the tools for the blacksmith. He make tools for other people and, of course, for himself too. So as you can see, maybe you have this kind of anvil. It's not a usual European or American style anvil. It's rectangular like this. It's a square anvil. It's a pure traditional Japanese anvil we use here. So he will make this part. He will make for you the most difficult and intrusive part of the scissors. It's the blade. Because to make a blade, you have to use two different materials. you have the soft iron on the hard carbon steel. For example, this is soft iron. And on the soft iron, you will put hard carbon steel like this. And when you put it, you can see the line here. And this is a blade. And we'll continue to beat it, It's not Michael Jackson, beat it. It's like this, yeah. He beats the blade. Oh, sorry, my fingers are really cold now. You put the hard carbon steel on the blade and you continue to make it like this. And yep, you have the blade. So he will show you this. He used charcoal. To make a good blade, the best is to use wood charcoal. It's black pine, Japanese black pine charcoal. We call it kuromatsu. Kuromatsu, it's black charcoal. So here you have the anvil, of course, and you have the traditional, we call it bellow, je crois, I believe in English. It's not a machine, it's all handmade one. You don't use mask, you don't wear mask, you don't wear protection, because Japanese blacksmiths, in Japanese we say the craftsman have to feel everything during the work. So even it's not really good for health to have this lot of smoke inside you. It's the best way to feel your work and to make good things. You can enjoy the song of the forge. You don't have the smell, but our staff can feel it. They're really professional because it's very strong. And inside here, you have water. It's why we have the smoke. Because when you use fire, the place can get really dry. So to keep wet, humid environment, we use water inside this. And after, the water is hot, it's warm, it's perfect to take a bath. So when he finishes his working day, he takes the water and he puts it in the bath to relax himself after a hard day. So you have to reach a temperature of 800 degrees for the first step. This powder, we call it borax. Borax, with my French accent, is borax. This powder, it's like a glue to stick the hard carbon steel with a soft iron. So now you are watching us, but if you come here to Sasuke or in Sakai, you can really enjoy everything. The smell, the temperature, it's really hot. Because even we have many videos on YouTube and at the television, there is no better way to enjoy and to feel it really. Of course, nowadays it's a very difficult situation with the coronavirus and many things in the world. But if you have the occasion, the time to come here, please come and enjoy. And it's not really common. He's used his left foot to move it. So now it's not too yellow, it's not too hot. It's 700 degrees. He's preparing the soft iron before to put the carbon steel. He put the borax on the blade, not the blade, not yet. It just iron. And now he's putting the carbon steel on the soft iron. So now maybe we can call it a blade. The smell is really special to the borax. It's not chemical smell. It's like a mix between iron, charcoal. It's very difficult to describe. And now with his left foot, he activates the air for the fire. It's everything by eyes. 今1100度ぐらい目指すでしょ？だいたい1000度ぐらいな。これからね。これから。だいたい1000度。And now his goal is to reach 1100 degrees. It's the perfect temperature to mix the carbon steel and the iron together. If it's too cold, it can't stick. So it's will slide and you can't use it. If it's too hot, it will melt and you can't use it too. So the best is 1070 degrees and 1100 degrees. You can hear the air. Shoo, shoo. Me, I was apprentice here during 5 years. I did the same things with him. Yeah, good. Our stuff is good. You can watch. You can see the fire inside the fire now. So now you are Sasuke. You are the blacksmith. He activates the bellows slowly. Because as I said, if it's too hot, you can't use the metal. Slowly and slowly. And after, oh, it's my hand. Hey, bye. You will strike the metal here in the anvil. It's really impressive though. Don't be too surprised. Because it's like fireworks. When you will strike the metal, after you reach 1100 degrees, it's like a small explosion. Let me check it. The metal have to get like a yellow-white colors. Between yellow and white colors, that it means it's 1000 degrees. So with his right hand, use the tools to check inside the fire. He's concentrate. It's the step you have to be the more concentrating, sorry, concentré. As all traditional blacksmiths, he loses his his tools. Where is my hammer? Where is my metal? And from now he will strike the metal. Be ready. With his left foot, he activate. So from now it's just light, but the second time it's like an explosion. So now it's kawaii, it's cute. Just a few spark. But the next part, the next step, it's impressive. そうね、ちょっと。He's telling me I have to protect my feet with a protection like this, wood, like this, because it can hurt my shoes. So he has a protection on his right leg. You can see it's just close. So I remember when I was apprentice, many times I burned myself, my feet, my hand, my ears. In my ears, a small spark fly to my ears. It was really painful. Now we are in the serious things. When he used his left feet, it means it's becoming serious. It's now. And it's not finished. And the next, he have to bend the carbon steel on the iron to make the full blade. So I don't know how you do feel in front of your screen, but here it's still impressive. Even I'm used to make it. It's more impressive when you see it. When you make it, you are concentrate, so you don't care. You have to make your work. You have to work. But when you are customer, just visitors, it's impressive. Because you just check it. You just look at. The left feet, it becomes serious again, and this time too it's maybe more impressive than the first, or in fact not the second time. The third time it's more impressive usually. Let's go. Oh. So now he's striking the blade, and he makes the blade style, and he cut this part because this part it's burnt by the fire because it's the thinnest part. It was the thinnest part, so too hot to be used. Okay, come closer if you can to check the blade. You can see the blade diagonal. You continue to strike it to make it thinnest and to make the blade. It's all handmade. As you can see, he's the last scissors maker in Japan, hand scissors maker. There is other scissor brand, but usually it's machine made. ありがとうございました。So I will explain a few about this place during his making preparation. 親方大丈夫。いけるね。Handy finish. So here, you have this kind of traditional things. You have the pure traditional Japanese, not decoration, it's like divinity, it's really old, it's cultural things. And we will let him preparing himself, and we'll go to the shop. It's really interesting too. Follow me, come here. I see you on my screen, so okay. Here, welcome to Sasuke's shop. Bienvenue. So, as usual on traditional Japanese old house, you have to take off the shoes. I ate too much yesterday. I'm heavy. On your ranch, you check your shoes here. So here, it's a former house of Sasuke's family. Sasuke born here. He was born here. You have irori. Irori is traditional place in Japan. You can take the tea, drink a tea with your family or your friends. Check the house. And now you have what we are interesting for. It's a knife and scissors. So this is traditional Japanese knife. You have different category. You have single edge, we say kataba in Japanese. So there's two-bladed single edge. There is many different category, but I just choose few one. Maybe it's easier to understand a few about the Japanese knife. When you have the three, it's double edge. So I will explain you about what is the difference between single edge and double edge. So let's start with the single edge. So it's not metal, it's just wood, just to show you. It's I would say a model just to explain easily. So you have two colors on this wood here. It's to represent the iron. So the yellow part, the clear part, it's the iron. On the black part, it's the carbon steel. Like this. So when I sorry, up. Okay, so the iron, it's here. On the black part, it's the blade. You can see it on the real blade. The color is different here. So the blade is a carbon steel. And let's check the opposite side. You have all carbon steel on this part. Like here, this is the iron. So it's like scissors. We put carbon steel on the iron. It's single edge. And come closer again. We are friends, you can come. You have this blade with this angle. So this knife, it's to slice a fish. And because you have this angle, it's easier to sharp and the food don't stick to the blade. This knife is for fish. We call it a deba knife. And for example, another famous single edge blade, it's the same process. Soft iron, high carbon steel on the blade, because you have the high carbon steel here. It's the same. And this knife, this beautiful knife, it's for sashimi, for fish, raw fish. And we call it Yanagiba or sashimi knife in Japanese. Yes, because we say knife in Japanese too. And you have the double edge. Double edge, it's the same. It's iron and carbon steel. But you have again iron here. So the iron is inside. It's like a sandwich. So the iron is the bread and the cheese, because I love cheese. It's the carbon steel inside. Like this one is too difficult after. Like this. This is its usual double edge. Both sides. Like this, and you have the carbon steel inside on the blade to have a good cut. This small knife, it's a petit knife. Petit couteau, petit knife, from the French, petit, small, petit knife. This knife, it's for all purpose too. Japanese use it for fruit, mainly for fruits, but you can use it for vegetables or for meat too. Everything, it's all-purpose knife, but short blade. You have the same style with the Santoku or bunka knife. It was a knife he was making and showing to us at the beginning of the video, sorry. But with different handle, because traditional handle are like white wood. It's magnolia. Magnolia, it's a tree. It's a magnolia wood, usually from Hokkaido, the north part of Japan. On the black part, it's buffalo horn. This is the most traditional material we use, but you can use different material to make it more, I would say, impressive and beautiful. This is ebony wood. And I think this part is walnut. I'm not sure, but you can use everything. Sakura wood, many things. And you have a special knife, it's nakiri. Nakiri, it's for vegetable. This is the most traditional double-edged knife in Japan. Many people want a Santoku knife because they think it's a real Japanese. Of course, no, it's Japanese, but Santoku knife, it's more from Europe. Nakiri knife, it comes from the Chinese knife. It's why it's big and rectangular, square like this. So all Japanese, maybe around 16 years or more, 60 years old, sorry. All the Japanese usually have this kind of knife in the kitchen. So you have many different type of knife you can enjoy here in Sakai. Beautiful, no? And after we have scissors. It's the little one from the quiz. This scissors is the most expensive scissors in the world, and it took 3 years to make. It's not black, because I will take other scissors. I can take it, yes, okay. Usual scissors are black, but this one it's brown because it's rust. So if it's rust, it's bad, no? But no, it's a really old technique. It's like the ancestor of stainless steel in the past to I would say, to keep the blade and the metal strong, they make it rust during 2 years or 3 years. And you have to pay attention, to check it, to put oil on lacquer too, to keep it strong. And it's inlaid with gold. So this one is the most expensive. So I will put it here so you can enjoy a few about this masterpiece. You can see the gold. On all parts are handmade, the screw to everything, as we watch, as we see together in the forge. So why Sakai? Why Sakai is famous for knife, for this kind of metal work? It's because in Sakai we have big emperor tomb, king tomb. We call it kofun in Japanese. And it's Japanese make it, built it, but this big tomb between the 3rd and the 6th century. It was just before the Buddhism came in Japan. It's the old religion of Japan, the Shintoism. And in Sakai, we have big tomb because in the area of Sakai, we had maybe the first really rich and powerful emperor and king of Japan. So many blacksmiths came here in Sakai to make tools to build the emperor tomb, and they stay here. So it's why we have a big concentration of blacksmiths here in the city, and they continue to work the metal. And when they discover the beauty of knife, they make it every day, and we have the biggest concentration of blacksmiths of Japan here in Sakai. Sakai make 80% of all traditional Japanese knife. It's huge because you have many different cities, but it's not traditional. It's not handmade. They use machine, and it's not historic. But Sakai is historic. It's traditional, and we make almost all of traditional Japanese knife for Japanese market. So I think Sasuke will come just to say a word. Sasuke-san? Sasuke-san imasu ka? Okay, so Sasuke, he's coming. He's just cleaning his hand, I think, because it can be very dirty to make knife. So if you have question, don't hesitate to send it on the chat. I think. Yes, can I visit Sasuke and observe? I think Sabrina will read from me when we are waiting Sasuke. Few questions if you have.
Great. So now let's move on to the Q&A section. I will pick some questions in the chat. And encore une fois, j'aimerais vous rappeler que les questions en français sont aussi les bienvenues. So first of all, let's start with, does Sasuke-san do all the sharpening in-house, or does some other sharpener sharpens like other Sakai blacksmiths?
It's really good question. It's good question because I can explain about Sakai process. Because in Sakai, the blacksmith makes the blade, so he just forges the blade, and after he give it to a sharpener. And the sharpener sharps the blade, and the sharpener sell it to a seller, and the seller can make business. Sometimes you have blacksmiths or sharpeners selling directly their own blade, but usually it's separating between 3 or 4 different makers. You have the blacksmith, the sharpener, the handle maker, and the seller. It's 4 people. But to answer to your question, Sasuke on the old time made everything themselves because Sasuke is a 21 generation, so it's pretty old. When I was apprentice, he was just blacksmith. He sharpened the scissor. For the scissors, he make all the process, the forging process and the sharpening process, everything himself, because nobody can sharp Sasuke scissors because it's very difficult. But for the knife, no, his son, he gets apprentice here, and his son's specialty is sharpening. So no, to answer to your question, Sasuke makes everything, the forging process and the sharpening process, and he sells too, so it's very good.
Great, thank you very much. Our next question, I think you've seen it in the chat. Is it possible to visit Sasuke and observe?
Yes, of course, you can come here. Maybe he's not forging a knife when you come. It depends on the timing, because sometimes he's forging, sometimes he's sharpening, sometimes he's doing something else. But you can call, but because you are English speaker, it's better to send an email before to come. But if you come without send an email, you can try and you can visit the forge.
Okay, great. That's great news. The next would be, what is the main difference between Japanese knives and Canadian knives?
I don't know a lot about Canadian knives, so I will talk about more European or usual and foreign knife. In the old time, it was the same process. European or American, Canadian use the same material, soft iron on hard carbon steel. There is many good craftsmen in Canada too, and in France, in Europe too, and they make really good things. But I talk in Japanese, sorry. It's maybe the single edge. The biggest difference is the single edge knife skills, because it's very traditional. So if you want to have a knife to cook Japanese food, you have to get a Japanese knife, because the blade, of course, it's diagonal like this. It's single edge. The cutting is really better. It's why all great chefs all over the world use Japanese knife. And because Japanese usually separate the task between the blacksmith, the sharpener, and the seller. They can check really perfect the knife at each step, and they can make a lot of things. So usually it's cheaper, it's cheaper than handmade knife from Canadian people, because usually we can make it. Same for me and for my father and my grandfather when he was in France. We can't make a lot of piece in Europe or in Canada, but Japanese can make a lot of piece, lot of things just by hand. So the quality is good, the price it's not so expensive, and you can have single edge, and there is many different categories. If you want a knife for vegetables, you can have a knife for vegetables. Usually in Europe and in America or Canada, it's all-purpose knife. So I think it's the bigger difference. If you buy a knife from a real blacksmith, if he made all handmade in Canada, I think it's the same quality if it's the same steel. But there is no the history of the knife, of course, or for single edge knife like this for sashimi and Japanese food. Of course, Japanese knife is the best.
Okay, great. I see Hirakawa-san has joined us, so I'd just like to give a moment for introduction.
Yeah, Sasuke, ちょっとだけ。
ようこそ、5代目のSasukeの平川康弘です。よく作り方とか見ていただいてありがとうございました。
So welcome to Sasuke. I'm the fifth generation of Sasuke. In fact, to explain a few, Sasuke is 21 generation of blacksmiths, but Sasuke's name it's new, not so new, but he is the 5th generation of Sasuke brand for scissors. But about all this Japanese family is 21 generation. And he thanks you a lot to take the time to check and to see, to watch his knowledge, because it's very traditional. We don't have a lot of places like this in Japan, so thank you very much to join our Zoom.
もう50年も作っております。好きでやっております。
He make knife for 50 years, so it's really long way, and he continue to learn. ちょっとこのハサミについてちょっと一言なんか特別ですのでね。You will just explain a few about his masterpiece.
これはこれ見てもいただいたんでいいんですけど、金の象眼ですね。象眼って言ってアルミ象って言って金をはめ込んだもの。
He inlaid in gold the scissors. It's not just the surface. There is more gold inside. In fact, it's like engraving with gold.
で、これに、この自然の錆ですね。自然の錆を風化させて、自然の錆を出して作るっていう、日本の、昔からのやり方ですけど、やっぱり3年ぐらい作ってやってます。
It's a natural rust, as I explained to you. It's not rust by, how to say, chemical process. It's all natural. So it just wet during, not just wet because you have to check it, during 3 years, just naturally because of the wind of the humid air.
で、昔はもともと火縄銃作っていたんですけど、堺の火縄銃ってこんな金の象眼とかを入れたりとかしていたので、その昔の名残というものをハサミに入れて、技術的なことを残そうと思ってハサミに入れました。
To explain about Sakai history, Sakai was famous for katana, of course, and but after, when foreigners came to Sakai, they start to make fire gun, because Sakai city was the only city to make the most beautiful fire gun, and they were used to put gold and to inlay with gold the fire gun, the gun. So because his ancestors was a fire gun maker, he decided to mix the knowledge of scissors and knife with the fire gun knowledge. Thank you.
いえいえ、どうもありがとうございます。
So if you have other questions, I think you have in the chat, I can see, yes, I can see just a few, but Sabrina, please.
Of course, with pleasure. So how long, you mentioned a single edge knife earlier. How long does it take to make one single edge knife?
ああ、いい質問だね。片刃の包丁どれぐらいかかりますか、時間。
片刃の包丁はやっぱり3日ぐらいかかりますね。
片刃の包丁3日ですね。
3日ぐらい。
It takes 3 days usually to make a traditional single edge knife. あと両刃は
両刃もまあ大体同じぐらい。
In fact, it's the same. the ryoba, the double-edged knife and the single-edged knife, it's usually between 2 days and 3 days. And for scissors, is 5 days.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you very much. So that might be the last question we have time for, but what are the most challenging pieces that you make?
The challenging pieces, the most special space?
The more challenging. So the ones that require.
Sorry. Merci, désolé.
こ
ういう方が一番チャレンジ一番それはチャレンジで頑張ったものは何ですか？
頑張ったもの、そうですね。やっぱりハサミの調子とか、鋼付けっていうのはもちろんですけど、ハサミの調子を出すのが一番難しい。材質が難しい。
So of course this scissors it's the most difficult to make, but the most difficult part, and I didn't explain, it's about the scissors blade. It's very difficult because usual scissors blade are flat. This is a usual scissor blade. It's wood, but it's just to explain to you. Yes, it's a model. But Sasuke scissors, it's not flat. It's difficult to see maybe on the camera. Yep. Yeah, ちょっと待って. Yes, you can see it's helicoidal. It's in curve like this. So it's really difficult to make, but when you have this type of blade, it's really hard to adjust. You can use many years because usually when you use usual scissors with flat edge, a flat blade, if you have a space between the two blades, it can cut. But Sasuke scissors, because you have this curve on the blade, you can continue to use it. And in fact, Sasuke scissors cut better after many months after you use it. That's than when you just buy it. So you buy it and you can enjoy more of the cutting of the edge after many months.
で、これをこういうふうに作るっていうことは、ここに強度がかかるので、相当材質が良くなかったらダメなんですね。強度のある材質に作ってよく叩いて作って。で、だからその硬い強度のある作り方を、ハサミの作り方を生かしてこの包丁とか作っているので、全然強度的なの。
だから鋼を使ってるってことですね。And to make this kind of tool, you have to use good quality steel too. So if the steel is not hard, if it's soft steel, you can have a good quality blade. はい、ありがとうございました。
はい、どうも。
はい。
ありがとうございます。
Sabrina, thank you.
はい、thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity that you gave us tonight. Unfortunately, we are out of time for question. And thank you everyone for your attention tonight and for the great questions that were in the chat. There were many more. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through them. But thank you very much, Mr. Chevalier, to be our guide through Sasuke tonight.
Merci, thank you.
Thank you. Good. So before we leave, I just want to mention that here in Ottawa, the Embassy of Japan hosts cultural events regularly. Please visit our homepage. Before that, though, if you would like to know more about Sasuke, Mr. Chevalier de Sakai, you can see some links on your screens right now, as well as QR codes. and the links are also in the chat. So if anyone is interested to learn more, please use these links. Thank you very much. And as I said, here in Ottawa, the Embassy of Japan hosts cultural events. Please visit our homepage or follow us on social media if you would like to see more content about Japanese culture. And since we had a lot of questions tonight, I would like to add that another event about Japanese knives in collaboration with the local Japanese knife store Knifeware and the Carleton University Japanese Association is upcoming. The link to the event will be posted in the chat, so please feel free to visit our page, and if you can, please join us for the event. Again, when exiting this webinar, a questionnaire will pop up. So please take a few minutes to fill it out if you can. That would be very helpful to us. And thank you so much again for being with us tonight. And thank you again to all the team that made this possible. And we hope you had a wonderful time learning about Japanese knives, and have a wonderful evening.